What else, bro? What else?
As far as like,
What else drives you on the daily?
oh,
What's yeah?
um, really, I got this. So you know how I say I'm really not just too. I can't like find like a passion like with like a job. Like it's kind of like that with like my life a little bit. Like not saying that I don't really love to do certain things, but like I think
Mm,
of a passion as like something that you can't go like a day without doing. Like people who love
without thinking
basketball,
about.
like they play basketball every day. People who rap, they rap every day. Like me, like I can go weeks without doing something that I love to do. Like I'm just weird like that. But I will say that after time and thought, I honestly figured out like what I am passionate about. It's two things. One,
Mm,
uh, is my family, like and just not even just the family that I have now, but like the family that I'll have in the future, the one that I'm the head of. Like everything that I do is like so I can set myself up in the future to where they'll live comfortable and don't have to struggle like I did or like my mom did, like learning lessons from life and from her. That way I know better or know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So that when I get to this age to where I have kids or, I have a wife and all that stuff, like it'll go smooth because I've already learned this lesson and I don't have to worry about that stuff. So then that is one thing I'm passionate about. And then knowledge. Like I know it sounds weird, but like I'm always like trying on learning new and different stuff. Like I'm always like trying to broaden my horizon on either how certain people think or like on some new uh medical like advancement that we have or just like technology and different in general. Like I really think of myself sometimes as like a modern day like philosopher or something, man, because I'm always like on the hunt, like trying to find how I can expand like my worldview. So knowledge and like
mhm.
my family, man, those two things are like the things that drive me the most in life.
Yeah, so you're very family oriented. So, family development and personal growth is where you really find a lot of passion in.
Yeah, man. Yep.
That's dope, bro. Cause that's like you said, that's a daily life thing, bro. And I mean, I think it ties into when people find like this your talent. Once they realize that their talent can work for their passion, then they'll be able to distribute that in their daily career, in their daily job, their daily work, even outside of work, because it's something you love doing and you just do it
Yeah.
naturally. Whether you get paid or not, you're just gonna continue to push it. And blessings are gonna come regardless because you're already
Yeah.
doing it. And that's the thing, bro. A lot of people aren't successful with the things they don't really do because they at the end of the day they really didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I just do it and it's gonna come regardless. So that's dope, bro. And it's crazy that you already that stabilized mentally enough to think that way even before you don't have a kid,
Nah,
right?
yeah, no, I don't have any kids.
And see having a kid, bro, teaches you a lot just by having one.
Yeah.
Like you, bro, I don't know. It's crazy having a 2 year old son. Like he's taught me a lot more than I've learned in probably life
Oh
before
yeah,
him.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So, bro, yeah, bro, you're gonna get
Yeah.
there, bro. It's gonna happen.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, because I mean, just do it, bro. Like if you continue to do it, why wouldn't it even be possible? You know?
See, and I messes with that, like because I don't think anybody's ever said like that to me before. But that makes so much sense. It's like if you have this drive for it, or if you passionate about it, of course it's gonna happen because you gonna make the moves to make sure that it does happen. I appreciate that, man. I've never heard
Exactly.
that before.
No problem, bro. I thank you for joining me and just you know broadening my
Oh yeah, for
horizon too,
sure.
because you honestly do, bro. Talking to people, I think communicating with other people allows that
Oh
to
yeah.
do to happen even naturally,
Yep.
bro, without a doubt. So yeah, I mean, if you ever need anything from me, bro, shit, I'm always here, bro. You know
Oh
that.
yeah. Same way, bro.
Even if you didn't know, now you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
bro.
same way, dude. Like anytime, like I meet folks, or especially people that I've known like in the past already, and like we like reconnect or something, even if it's just a new person, like and I come to where it's like I know they genuine folks and I know they good people.
it's always like love, bro. Like if you need something and I got it or I'm available to help you, like just let me know. Like even if I'm not, like still reach out and at least that way I know like the line of communication is still there, and I'll make sure I do the same thing, man. Like just to make sure that even if it's just like checking to make sure like, hey, bro, you been straight. Like I ain't talked to you in like a week, 2. You can just make sure you straight, like stuff like that, man. I'm always trying to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure the homies is straight and everything.
yeah. Appreciate it, but yeah, same here,
For
bro.
sure.
So with you being in the medical industries, I've I haven't really been like too informed on like how a lot of that works, but from what I've been seeing, I know that vaccines, there's a lot of different ways to approach
Yeah.
them. There's a lot of different things to go by as far as how to take care of them
Yeah.
while in transit to the
For sure.
consumer, and a lot of more things. So, I know you're kind of aware of why a lot of people don't want to take the vaccine and why they want to take the vaccine. Can you clear up a little bit on that and what the vaccine is really there for?
Oh yeah, no problem.
Because a lot of people would see it as more of a cure rather than a
Oh yeah,
vaccine.
okay. So first off, like you said, a lot of people do think a vaccine is a cure, and it's not. Basically you think of it like a shield. Like if you already have the disease, whatever vaccine they giving you, it can't take away that disease from you. But if you get the vaccine before you get the disease, then you have that shield to where the vaccine can't get you anymore. Now if it's like a disease or something where you can get it more than once, like you can take a vaccine for after you've already had it and then you'll never get it again. But same way, it's not necessarily a cure, it's just a preventative measure. And then something that a lot of people are always afraid of with vaccines is, I hear, especially at the hospital, people always say, "Oh, they inject you with the virus and everything like that." So part of that is true. Like they take dead cells from an older, like a already dead part of that virus, and they inject it to you. But the reason that they do that is because they're stimulating your immune system. And what I mean by that is like our immune systems are memory based. So that means once we've overcome a sickness or whatnot, like our body remembers what it had to do to fight that sickness. So you can't remember how to fight a sickness if you've never fought it before or if you've never been introduced to it. So that's why they put like dead or really small amounts of the virus in a vaccine, and then they introduce it to your immune system, and your body can naturally fight it off because it's dead. Now, where people have always said like, "Oh, I've gotten sick from the flu shot and stuff like that." It is possible for the disease to kind of like latch on to your blood cells and stuff like that, and then it could like restart or anything like that, but it'll never be as bad as you getting the actual disease or whatnot. Like if you get the flu shot and you get sick or you get like symptoms of the flu, like yeah, it's possible, but it'll never be as bad as if you actually got like the actual flu. So that's another thing I want to.
Without the
Yeah,
vaccine.
yeah. So I just want to clear that up with
Okay.
folks too. Um,
Makes a lot of
yeah.
sense. Makes a lot of sense, bro. And I mean also the way it's created, the vaccine, I
Mhm.
know there's a lot of different ways people can
Mhm.
create them. Um and I think when people are a little bit informed about, like you said, a lot of people are kind of right about what they're saying, but they're not fully aware of like the whole thing, the whole information.
Yeah.
So they just kind of take the little bits and pieces and try to use it to what they
Right.
feel. And I think it's the same way once they're introduced to on how they create a
Oh
vaccine.
yeah. Uh,
Because go
no,
ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say like as far as like creation of a vaccine, I'm not just too like knowledgeable about it, but I know like baseline stuff. So like I know like you have to find, like, first off, you have to get the disease obviously, and then you have to figure out what you can use that we naturally create on Earth, and that can be stabilized within your body, that can kill off that disease. And then that's not even the hardest part. The hardest part is finding a way or a carrier to introduce that vaccine into your body, because you could put something in your body, but because it's not introduced the right way, it won't work the way it's supposed to. And so basically you
Mm,
just did it for nothing. And so you have to find what they call a carrier. I think it's a carrier protein, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that part,
mm.
but I know it's a
I think
carrier.
you're right.
You have to say, I know it's a carrier for sure that you have to find. And they usually take those from like diseases that they already know the cures to. Like they'll take like that protein that those diseases use to get inside your bloodstream, and they'll take those and then they'll put it in a vaccine. And let me be clear about that too. When I say that they take proteins from diseases we already know, I don't mean like they give you that disease. I mean like if they can identify from that disease what protein to use, or what proteins or carriers are used well or integrate with the body well, they'll use those, because those are, the ones that integrate with your body. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get that disease. And speaking of that, there was in Australia, they had this company who created a vaccine that was different than ours here in America. And they were giving people vaccines, and those people were having false positive tests for HIV. But the reason that they were having that was, like I just said, they took the proteins out of HIV that they used to get that into your blood system or your bloodstream and all that, because it works really well. Because obviously, HIV kills a lot of your blood cells and all that stuff. But so in order for them to use that for the vaccine, they just use the same thing. And so when they tested people for HIV, some people were having false positive results because they test for like proteins and stuff like that when they take your blood. And so that was popping up. But they discontinued it because they didn't want to like create like a public scare or anything like that. Because you can never give somebody like HIV just by using a protein that HIV uses. But because they didn't want to
Mm.
scare the folks, they discontinued it.
Hmm. Bro, it's interesting to know, like, because there's always gonna be two sides of the
Yeah,
story. It's interesting to know a little bit about each side
yeah,
of it,
man.
to be
And
honest.
I'm the same
Because
way. Like I know, like me personally, like I have my own like ideas,
perspective.
yeah, perspective of it. But then I also can tell, like when people come up to the hospital, or even like you on me and having me on the show and asking me questions, I know like I'll speak from a neutral standpoint. Like I don't want to give people my personal feelings and all that stuff all the time, because I know like just because I see it this way don't mean you will see it that same way, or
Have
yeah,
to
or that
feel,
you have to feel
yeah,
that way. So I'm more that I'll just give you the information, and then you do with it what you will.
yeah, yeah. That's kind of how I am too. Like, uh, if for example somebody come and ask me for some type of help, I'm gonna give them the help that I feel is best for them. But that's up to them whether they
Yeah,
want to
man.
take it that way or use that help at all, or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's how I feel
Mhm.
about it. So, yeah, with this information, the reason why I ask is because I kind of want to know a little bit more. I know what I've
Mhm.
heard and what I've seen and what I've read upon, and like you said, I want to take it in and see it my
Yeah.
own way and make it, because at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm really not going to put a lot of trust into
Nah.
it. And the more it makes sense to me, that's how I can build trust on it, because I'll be able to
Yeah, for
understand it.
sure.
And it's the same with like people who invest in their money. Is like, you don't invest your money if you don't understand what you're
Right.
investing it in. And to give a good example about what you were explaining as far as the proteins and the carriers and all that, I think a good example would be that it's like a monster. We're dealing with the monster that eats these kind of foods that we're really not sure yet of what he likes. So we're gonna bring a basket of apples and blah 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 and this and that, and then we're gonna see if he likes it and how he reacts to it. If he loves it, we're gonna see, okay, that'll calm him
Yeah.
down. And if we see that doesn't calm them down, it's like, all right, we got to try different things. So that's kind of what a vaccine is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like the proteins are apple, orange, the combination of
Mhm.
all that. You throw it at
Yep.
them, see if they like it or not, and then try
Yeah.
again.
That's
Cool.
that's definitely like just the base of it right there. Yeah.
That makes
No,
sense,
yeah, I
and
never
I
thought of it
mean,
that
I
way.
can understand why it's so frustrating for the industry to try to figure out, because a lot of people, professionals, they're trying to figure out a code to
Yeah,
crack.
pretty much. Yep, they're trying to figure out a code
Yeah.
like of how they can, like you said, how they can feed this monster and get it to calm down or to go away.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. And necessarily because it does calm down doesn't mean that it's an actual cure and that's going to be the
Right.
solution. We just know that it
Yeah,
is calming them
that's
down.
crazy too, though, to think about that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, man. But just a little tidbit of information too. Like I said, I'm real deep off into stuff like this. But there's this new technology that they're coming out with, man. It's called CRISPR, and it's like basically this uh process that they use so where they can literally rewrite your DNA, and they use it for like diseases and stuff like that are DNA based. So like uh what are diseases that are DNA based? Like HIV.
I heard I heard about that. I listened to audio news on, I think,
Yeah.
Apple News, and they were talking about that, like, how you said, rewriting
Yeah,
the
man.
DNA. Like, they study the DNA and are able to
Yeah,
recreate
like
it.
so um I watched like this thing on this channel on YouTube called Kyrgyzstan. I could not spell it to save my life, but it breaks stuff down a lot for you, and it puts in like little animations and stuff, so it makes it boring information interesting. And basically, how they explained it was that you you take healthy DNA, you copy it, and then you go in and you cut out the bad DNA, and then you replace it with the DNA that you copied because it's your own DNA. And then, basically it's like you never had that disease. And just to show, uh, they just gave a lady this process that she went through this process, and it cured her of sickle cell disease. Yeah,
Hmm.
man, it was on the news today. Like I saved it to my phone and everything because I was gonna put it on Facebook. I just hadn't had time. But yeah, man, and just to think like, you know, imagine a world where you can basically go in and take your own DNA and then rewrite it. Basically, it's just like, we would never have to worry about disease and stuff anymore. Like that's amazing. Like it's crazy how technology and stuff just advances itself in the strides that it does.
And I feel like technology is one of those things we have to be
Oh yeah, for
careful with
sure.
too, because
Yeah,
it can be a
yeah.
tricky thing, like
Oh
karma in
yeah.
a way.
Oh
DNA based viruses like herpes, smallpox,
hmm
adenovirus, and others. But yeah, you were right.
yeah, man. That's and on that channel that I was talking to you about, the Kyrgyzstan channel, they literally said the same thing that you said, is that we have to be careful because they literally said in there that this application and stuff has the means to make it to where we could basically genetically modify our children like before they're born. And so, like, they were saying, once we get to that point, it's either we are or we aren't going to do it. But then they were like, people are probably going to say, like, why wouldn't I, like, change my kid to where they don't have, like, Down syndrome or something like that, a disability, when I have the opportunity? And so then once they do that, then it's like you open the door that you can't close because people will be like, well, I want my
Yeah.
kid to do this or have this or be this strong or have perfect eyesight. And so they'll start changing people's DNA. And then you get to a point where, like, okay, how far is too far, man? Because at this point, we kind of like playing like we got or something.
Yeah, that's very contradictory, especially in the society we live in
Yeah.
today. Honestly, I wouldn't want to mess with it. I would try to go more based on the herbs and all the natural based
Yeah.
medicines, and try to take that approach first. But I don't know. I don't know if it's really been attempted, because a lot of people have all these theories. We really can't know because so many years have passed by. Um, and I wonder if that was pushed, if like that was the medical industry today, where we did nothing but natural
Yeah, where
resources,
we
you
would
know?
be at. Yeah.
kind of like how Apple's trying to do, like they're trying to do all this recycling and stop using new, pretty much new resources from Earth. They're just trying to
Yeah,
recycle everything and make it more
yeah,
eco-friendly. So if that was attempted in the medical industry, I wonder how it would change, how different it would be, how successful it would even be. Because a lot of people just say that, well, why don't you just go this way? Well, I mean, so many people can try it, but at the end of the day, what's really going to help
yeah, yeah.
society?
And I tell you one thing, it's especially working at a hospital, man. Uh, Money. That's the key to the capitalist society that we live in these days is money. Medicine that they can create, and if they know for sure that it cures or that it fixes something or helps out with something, like they gonna charge you an arm and a leg for it because they can. And so when it comes to like holistic and herbalistic like medicine and stuff, they try their best to downplay that or like say that it doesn't even work because if I can go outside and find like this herb or go buy this herb for like $2 from like the store versus going and spending $70 on yeah,
A doctor won't get
yeah, they don't
commission
get
off of it.
paid,
Yeah.
man. So it's that money, bro. I'm telling you.
It makes me wonder, bro. Like when people say that they do it because they really love it. I mean, it's not to
No,
question
yeah,
you
yeah,
or anything. It's just like when people say, like, "Oh, for example, nurses, like, I want to help people and blah blah blah." Like, okay, well, if you know that at the end of the day, the doctor's getting commission off that medicine and it's really not helping this patient out, if you definitely, really, really know that, deep down, know that, because it's a theory at the end
yeah,
of the day. Well, some people may say it is, but if they really definitely know that, I think their real heart, if they had that heart to say, okay, I'm doing it for the people, they would try to find a way, whatever it took, to change
yeah.
that.
They would.
Unless the energy is drained out of them for some reason. And you're right. I think it's money, bro. At the end of the day, they're like, I still got to pay my
Yeah,
damn bills. I need this damn job. I can't afford to get fired and do the right thing because I won't be
oh
able
yeah,
to have a roof to live under and all that. And if a lot of people really feel that way, I think we need to
oh yeah.
change that.
We do. I agree.
It
And
Because I hear it too many times, too often. I'm like, all right, well, if everybody's talking about it, why is nobody
yeah,
doing anything about it? If a lot of people really feel that way, there definitely needs to be some
for
type of
sure.
change.
Yeah, I'm with you. And just to piggyback off what you said, man, I work in the ER. So like I'm with the nurses and all that stuff all the time. I'm not a nurse or anything like that, but I work with them like literally 12 hours a day. So it's just like they do. They a lot of the times they get tired, man. Like they want their best, the best for the patients and everything. Like they try their best to like get them like, hey, like I'm gonna give you this medicine, but you need to do this and do that along with this medicine because this medicine can only take you so far. But as the day goes on and they meet like all these different people who have like all these different attitudes and stuff like that, they get drained, man. And then not even that, it's just loss of life or like seeing, people sick all the time, hurting all the time. That does a number on you, man. And so it's like they are really strong, emotional people. They have to be, man. And yeah,
Have to be, definitely. Bro, I salute
yeah,
them, bro. Anybody who has to deal with people that's not on a stable in any kind of way, emotionally or physically, any of that, bro, I respect them because you're dealing with a whole different
yeah,
brain that thinks a different way, acts a different way, and wants things done a
yeah,
different way. And they're not your spouse, so you're gonna have to try to work with them because that is your job.
man,
That is your, in a way, calling, if people want to see
yeah,
it that way. At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. But if we imagine a world of where everything was, let's say,
mhm,
natural, if I had the ability to be a doctor, I'm like, you know what, my calling is to heal people naturally and using herbs and all that. Well, what I would try to do is find a way to, kind of like how a trap guy would do, find a way to get his
yeah,
product right, find a way where he can grow it, maybe independently one day, but find a resource where he's supplied with that, and multiply it enough to where he can provide that to his consumers and just keep on pushing. Because if it were something that were to work, that were to be working, why wouldn't there be
For
profit
sure. Yeah.
involved if it's
Yep.
working?
And see,
And if they were less greedy on like, oh no, that's not enough
yeah.
profit or whatever, that's where
That's
all
what I was
that
about to say, man.
contradiction comes in. You're right.
Those big pharmacy companies, dude, like the ones who push out like all this medicine and stuff, they are heartless, man. Like they anytime that they find a competitor in their market where they're thinking they're gonna like take them out or uppercut them or undercut them, excuse me, with a new product, like they will do anything they can to try to make sure that that product does not reach the shelves because they don't want their money to like be taken away. And this isn't like a a medicine thing, but just to show you they use the same tactics. So like there's this where they're not a company anymore, but there was this company called Monsanto, and they were a genetically modified organism company. And what they did was they basically grew plants and all that stuff like genetically. And so what they would do is they would go to these people's farms and they would have the rights to a certain plant, like a certain soybean, like they would own that soybean.
Mm,
And so
that's
what they would
crazy.
do is they would go to that person's farm and they would sprinkle like seeds of soybeans on their farm, and then like they let them grow. And then what they do is they come out to that person's farm and say, "We think you're growing our seed or our plant that we own, and that's illegal." And they would let the person who was didn't know that that was going on. They would go be like, "Oh yeah, you can test my plants, you know, da da da." And so they test the ones that they knew they sprinkled in there, and then they come back, and so then they could sue them, and then they put the farmer out of business, or they have to make like a settlement or
Out of
something, you
business.
know, that way that and basically they would end up not being able to grow food no more. That way that it'd be more money for Monsanto. The pharmacy companies do the exact same thing, man, with like holistic medicine.
And I think it's like that with
Yeah,
any industry, though. You look at the music industry, you look at the government, you look at, bro, really anything.
yeah,
It's
man.
greed.
It
It's
is.
sad.
Instead of trying to help us out, like the people, like it's for how can I make this much money? And just to give you like an idea, insulin now costs so much money. But back in the day, like when it first came out for like diabetes patients, it was $8. It could be up to like 200 now. But it was $8 at one point. You know what I'm saying? Like that's ridiculous. Like it was not that much money at all. And these people are out here, you know, charging basically people are arm and a leg literally to live. Because if you don't have insulin as a diabetic, you will die. And they charging them all this money because they know they'll pay it because they have to live. And it's sad, bro. It
It's
is.
horrible.
It's terrible. Same way with like HIV medications and stuff like that. And countries like the UK or like Norway and Australia and stuff like that, that medicine is not that expensive. But here in America, it's ridiculously expensive because we know that people will pay for it if they don't want, you know, to die or to, you know, show symptoms of a certain disease or whatnot. So we'll make them pay $200, $300 for a couple of pills because we know they will. Versus you can go to Australia or something and pay like 30. It's ridiculous, man.
And to top that off with another factual thing, I know that you're aware of this too. When you go to a
Yeah,
pharmacy or whatever, if you get the generic brand, it has to be
yeah,
FDA approved, right? So it has to
the same
perform the
thing.
same as the name brand,
Yep,
yeah, medicine. So at the end of the day, if you're paying more, it's just because you're paying more. It's really not because
no,
it's gonna heal you
yeah,
better,
you're
right?
completely correct. It's literally the exact same thing
Okay.
that the company pays, or you basically pay for a specific color or a name on a bottle. At that point, that's literally all you're paying for. Because
Yeah. like how we do with clothes and
Pretty
everything
much.
else,
Like
really.
that company's making that much more money off you because you pick a bottle that says aspirin on it, or that you pick because you says Bayer and all that stuff on it. Like it's ridiculous, man.
Hmm. It's interesting though, because the world we came to, like, we go back to where brands
Yeah.
didn't really matter before people start putting brands on things. If we lived that way today, I think we'd be able to
Oh
advance
yeah.
way further. And the reason why I say that is because greed came into where it's like, all right, brand, they're pushing that. And at the end of the day, we know more of just the top brands. And those people are usually the greedy ones because they see how things work. They were able to see that and they played it
Mhm.
to their greed. Now that they have the ability and power to control a lot of that, they they try to keep
Yeah.
people from growing in a
Yeah.
way. That's how I see it. And they want to grow themselves uh and and
Yeah.
are selfish, really. So who was it? Me and my friend were talking about it the other day. If we think about how young America is, it's not that old if you
Yeah.
compare it to other countries, correct? And if you try to put the generations that have been within those years,
Not
it's
at
really
all.
not that many. And we were talking about how all these presidents pretty much in a way have some type of
Mm-hmm.
relation to each other. Where am I trying to get to? Okay, so at the end of the day, it's still too young for it to be not controlled, but
Hmm.
diversified
Mm-hmm.
the agenda of America, because there's all these people that are still connected to that, in a way, one
Mm-hmm.
family tree or whatever that was trying to push this one plan. I feel like that plan is
I
still
got
trying
you.
to
I
be
see what you're
pushed,
saying. Okay, yeah, that make a lot of sense.
and we don't know that what that full plan is. We know a little bit of it. We know what's shown to us, and we all know that no matter where you are, where you work, the business you run, or whatever, there's things that the consumer knows. There's things that the
Mm-hmm.
consumer doesn't know. And there's a lot of things that
Yeah.
we don't know. We don't know what the
Yeah.
plan is for. So we're just kind of lab
Yeah.
rats being tested, or just kind of
Yeah,
in a
man.
cage, really, and we're not free. And I think we're we're needing to do something to really push that and be free one
I'd
day.
say this, man. The government itself, it is really crazy if you really sit and think about it. Like the different type of stuff that they've done, and then they'll claim is at the best interest of the people and all this other stuff. When in actuality, a lot of people wouldn't do that same thing, or would say like, "Nah, I don't think we should have done that." And then to think that we, rely on them and trust them for certain, amenities like the police or like the army and stuff like that. We rely on them for that type of stuff. But then at the same time, it's like every day, like they screw us over one way or another. Like it's just, I feel like until we as a society, because technically society runs the government. It's just that we don't have enough.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we don't
We
have
don't know
enough
that.
people that are aware of that and are willing to stand on that, or in order for the society to actually, make a difference. Because right now the government like
Mm-hmm.
uses us as like puppets and stuff, and we fall for their tricks or whatnot. But if we really were to band together and decide like, okay, we've had enough of this, like we need to work for each other, like you said, like I feel like society would be so much better. Like imagine instead of competing with each other, like to see who can, come out with this medicine that does this, or who can create this, da da da. Imagine if everybody was working on it at the same time, trying to with the same man,
With the same heart.
bro, we cure so much stuff, or so much stuff will be, what I'm saying? And then like think about it,
We'd be
bro,
so far
and not
ahead
even
of
just
what
in
we are
medicine,
now,
like
for
in
sure.
technology and stuff. Like we probably be on some different galaxy or something already if everybody would just be on the same page and not trying to fight against each other. It's crazy.
In a way, we'd be a
Yeah,
different breed of aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'd be on a whole nother level. We'd be connected. We'd be
Yeah.
pushing it together, like not really conflicting
Nah,
with each
bro.
other
We
too
we
much.
be a single because we band together, and I feel like a lot of it stems from so like how you were saying like how Brandon first started. I feel like a lot of that division and that greed and all that stuff first started with like the division of like races and stuff like that. Like at first, I know like races were separated by where you lived and all that stuff, but I feel like
Yeah,
once we got interconnected to where we could freely travel and meet each other and do all this stuff, like we should be able to like lean on each other. Like I'm talking about like the whole world. We should be able to lean on each other and unite as a human race.
I think it'll get there though. Now that we're talking about it, I think it'll get there because, bro, this is. I think this is the first country where it
Yeah,
started getting
yeah,
diversified in this way,
yeah.
the
You're
way
right.
that's happening now. The very first time it's kind of happening. And back then, bro, we were we weren't really focused, like you said, on colors because we were all in the way the same. It was the
Yeah,
culture that we were pushing. And nobody from a different country was involved there. So that everybody was stable and they were like, all right, we don't have any kind of different kinds of minds in here. So everything was good. And then America was created, and now we have a bowl of all these different kinds of people, and they're not on the same page, nor culturally, nor morally, and none of that. A lot of people are
yeah,
misaligned. They're not agreeing. And we have this big old disagreement that I feel like one day it will be able to happen because racism, yes, it's still there. We have it. I think it's not
yeah.
as bad as how it used to be. I think it's still too young. Like it's still there. It's still
Mm-hmm.
there strong too. And I mean, I think throughout time, I mean, hopefully we're able to wash most of it out to where we can be able to
Yeah, for
live a
sure.
comfortable lifestyle within a diverse,
Yeah, man. And
environment.
you know, I think that and I hate to say this, but I think it's gonna take like some type of like big event. Because if you ever pay attention to like
Well,
how we do when in like crisis situations, like we always like come up with the best stuff or we always like overcome like these big problems that we have during like a crisis situation. So it's like
yeah,
yeah,
that pressure
man. And
builds us
so
stronger for
I feel
sure.
like it has some big crisis is gonna have to happen to where, or I don't think it's gonna have to. I just personally think it will, and then but we'll get through it. But then when we get through it, it's like we had to work together. We had to put all this animosity and hate and all that stuff aside. And we had every country, every person in the world had to look at each other on the same level in order to what I'm saying, get through whatever it is that we had to get through. And then once we get through it, I feel like we'll be better off because we've made those connections and we've shown each other like, hey, this really is possible. Like it is possible out here. But I feel like in like
Oh yeah.
reality wise, like today, I just feel like it'll just take time because you have those people who are rooted and grew up like being taught like certain things and everything like that. And so, certain people you can't change their mindsets. But as we get older and I'm pretty sure like you can see it now too, like how accepting a society is of like certain types of people. And
I
yeah,
was
like I
about
feel
to
like
say.
we're getting better at it for sure.
We are, bro. And I mean, looking at my just for example, my grandparents and even your grandparents, I bet you can say the same thing. When they have that saying, you can't
Yeah.
teach an old dog new tricks. That's
Yeah.
them. That's how they feel. Now our generation is more like, all right, we see it's conflictual.
It,
We actually
yeah,
want to
take it in.
develop
Yeah,
and grow
exactly.
and change.
Yep. And that's
Hmm.
yeah, man. And
So we're
then
almost
just
there.
imagine like if we stay on like that same like wavelength and we can teach that to like our kids and stuff. Eventually, yeah, man, it'll
They'll
get
be
to a
able to
point to
improve. Yeah.
anything that's like like you said, creates conflict within like society or whatnot. We'll be able to sit down and work it out and then go from there. Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as long as the power of
Yeah.
greed doesn't take over, because we just look at the debate from last year. Uh, we see that it wasn't a debate; it was
Yeah.
more of an
Yeah.
argument. And I think a debate should be there to be like, all right, we both have the same plan to fix this. How are you going to approach it? How am I going to approach it? What's the difference? Why do I think yours will
Yeah.
work? Why do I think mine will work? I think that's what a debate should be. But
Nah,
bro,
man.
there was none
They
of
were
that.
more so talking about like each other or trying to like but yeah, just bash
Bashing
each
each
other's
other.
plans and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like literally when that ended, it was like that didn't make me want to vote for anybody anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like yeah, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't inform me on anything. It didn't really teach me or show me okay, this is the stance that you take and this is where you're gonna go. This is the stance that you take and this is where you're gonna go. Nah, it's just like a mudslinging contest or something, man. Ridiculous.
And I think that's where a lot of people get confused on why the whole change happened, because they're like, oh, they're cheating or whatnot. I think what actually happened is like a lot of people were like, man, this didn't work. This is ridiculous. This is childish. This is not gonna work if we continue to do the same thing. Something has to change. Let's see if this way will change.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
This
a
time,
lot of
you
people
know.
are fed up.
I
Mm-hmm.
think people just got tired. Yeah, a lot of people got tired,
Oh yeah.
and especially with the
Nah,
stressful
man.
year of this
Yeah.
pandemic. Uh, like you said, it took something like that to bring us a little bit closer. But you're right. I think it's gonna take a lot more greater, a lot more more real thing, like a
Yeah.
reality
Yeah. Oh
check
yeah, for
that's greater
sure.
than
Like
this one.
I don't know what it'll be. It'll be like some global thing. It'll be like where everybody literally has to like pitch in order to make sure that we don't fall off, man. Like, but
I'm seeing that in the society we live in today, and that's another thing, bro. I want to push. I'm
hmm
like a business guy with numbers and stuff. I see a lot of finances, uh, that are like, bro. Honestly, if we all got on the same page to where we wanted to get out of this hole of debt that we're in, because America's in
yeah,
debt what,
man,
trillions of
ridiculous.
dollars, right? All these other countries are too. And if we stop sitting okay with that, like a lot of people just sit okay with that, with owing a loan of something. If we really wanted to push, like, all right, we need to get rid of this, because even in the Bible, bro, it says that the
Yeah,
borrower
man.
is slave to the lender. So if we were to get out of that and we actually wanted to do things a better way, without having to pay too much in interest or whatnot, or $0 in interest, well, that's a lot of money saved up already that we can use to have a lot of other
Yeah,
resources built up or a lot of other things created. Because we're not stuck in the hole. We're actually on ground level and we're building rather than
yeah, man.
digging ourselves deeper.
Yeah,
And we a lot of people don't know how to
nah,
even manage that. Nobody was taught how to do that. Like that was
yeah,
removed from education for a long time. So once we all get back on that page too, we'll be able to grow quicker, because nobody will really be struggling. Yes, there'll be inconveniences. However, we'll know how to manage it and get through it, and then
yeah.
we'll be able to
I agree.
overcome. But man, I think helping one person at a
Yeah,
time
for
is the
sure.
only
Like
way,
you,
bro.
I've always tell like anybody who comes to me like for advice or anything like that. A lot of the times people see a really big problem and they get overwhelmed because they don't know how to approach it. And so I always tell folks all the time, one step at a time, man. Like if unless if there is a way
Mm-hmm.
that you can like get through something with by doing one thing, don't look at it that way. Like look at it like you have to take like small little steps in order to get to the bigger picture that you want, which is, in this case, what I'm saying, helping one person at a time. You like sometimes it's too big or sometimes it's overwhelming to try to help like an entire country get out of debt at one time. Like that's tough. But what you can do is you can teach, like you got all these people like teachers and stuff in place or just normal like people like fathers and mothers or big cousins or whatnot, like you can teach like the people who under you or who are willing to listen, and just like, hey, like if you do this way, it'll create like this type of wealth for you. And then when it creates that type of wealth for you, not only does it help you, it brings, health or wealth to the family. And then, you can stay out of debt as far as like the economy goes and all that stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it trickles down a way, like all just like you said, just by helping one person at a time.
It removes a lot of stress
Yeah,
too, a
because
lot of
it's a
tension.
lot of stress thinking in like big picture type stuff sometimes, and sometimes looking at the big picture is definitely like what we need to do. But in situations like I feel like solving situations, you gotta take it step by step, man. Like don't rush, because if sometimes when you rush trying to fix something, it end up being worse than what it was when you first got it.
Yeah, you got to sleep on it. I think that's a daily reminder, bro. A day is only
Yeah,
a
man.
certain amount of time, and you
Nah,
can't do
man.
everything in one day. If you can't do it today, it's okay. It'll happen tomorrow if it's meant to be, and if not, oh well. Like I mean, you
Yeah.
did what you could control. Like you did what you
And I know
could.
for me, like one of the biggest things that my mom, even to this day, still try to beat into my head, because I fall off on it sometimes, is that I can't control everything. And that's because I try to, like, when I'm dealing with something, like I try to think my way out of it, because I feel like I'm in control of my life. There should be, a way for me to make this that's happening to me not happen anymore. And so I try to, like I said, I try
Mhm.
to think my way out of a lot of stuff, but I have to realize that everything that I do, what I'm saying, can't be manipulated by me. I'm not in control of everything that happens to me in my life, and I have to accept that and just be able to just roll with the punches.
Yes, sir. Yep, I agree with that. Yeah, that's what Dave Ramsey teaches a lot on too. Like
Yeah.
control the controllables. Why be frustrated over something you can't control? Like, back when that
Mhm.
Houston flooding happened,
Mhm.
what was it, like a couple years ago? Well, he said that he had one of the callers, and they were set, bro. Like they had their emergency set up because he goes he teaches by steps, like you said, but there's seven
Mhm.
steps, and they're called the seven baby steps. So the first one is to save $1,000 of emergencies. The second one is to pay off all your debt from
Mhm.
smallest to largest, right? And then the third one is save 3 to 6 months of expenses, not income, but expenses. 3 to 6 months, you
Mhm.
save that as your safety net, and then you start investing and building wealth. So the people that called had already been on baby step number. The people who called had already been on step number three,
Mhm.
which is the 3 to 6 months. And when that happened, well, of course, they had to leave the state because of the flood. But because they had that 3 to 6 months saved up, to them it
Yeah.
was only an inconvenience. That's all. It wasn't like, damn, I'm not gonna go to work and get this check. No, they were like, we got 3 to 6 months of expenses. We can go out of state till this is cleared off, and then we just come
Yeah.
back. A little vacation to them, and then when they came back, boom, they were able to rebuild that savings. And I think I think
Yeah.
that's dope, bro. Like
And
people can do
yeah.
that with a
And
regular
that's
job.
why.
They don't have to be rich. But if we could all do that, like, bro, it would
Oh
be
yeah, for
so
sure.
much
But
less
like,
tension.
one of the things that I hate that they took out of like high school and stuff like that was like teaching like finance and stuff like that, because it's like we a lot of kids and stuff don't know about like credit cards and how to save for this. Yeah, man. And like even in your
Taxes.
last
Mm-hmm.
uh podcast I listened to, there you were saying how if you would have known better, you would have bought like a cash car first rather than buying one with a note. I completely agree
Mm-hmm.
with that, man. A lot of people don't know to think this way, or know that there even is a such thing as a cash car. And it's like you go, you buy that car for one price and then you own it, versus you pay a note on a car that is hard for you to keep up to that note, and because you only working like this amount of job.
Yeah, people are so worried
Yeah,
about credit
like,
nowadays, though. It's crazy. They're worried more about credit than they are their like
bro.
financial stability in a way. And it's I don't know, it messes with
Yeah,
me in a way. It's sad in a way.
people don't realize like with interest that you literally are paying more for it because you decided to make payment plans than what it would have cost if you'd have
Mm-hmm.
just paid it outright with cash. And a lot of people were just do not
My
understand that
first
concept. And like you said, like it'd be great if we had like some type of like financial like literacy or just like life tips or tricks and stuff like that. Yeah, just to show people like, hey man,
guidance.
if you
Mm-hmm.
do it this way, you save money and all this stuff. But I don't know, man. It's like you said, the greedy society that we live in. People whatever they'll do whatever they can to keep folks quiet so that they can make a quick buck.
Yes, sir. I think I'm gonna close the show out here in a bit with the
Okay.
bracket song by J. Cole. Yeah,
And
you. What you think about that
it
song?
it make a lot of sense too because a lot of people don't like I was saying we talking about money and stuff. A lot of people don't realize like, oh yeah, you could be a rapper and make like millions of dollars and all of that stuff, but you don't realize that mean you in a different tax bracket. I mean, them taxes gonna hit a whole lot harder than they would.
But let me explain it like this so people could really put it to their because a lot of people are like, man, I'm not a rapper, so it don't apply to me. But bro, it's like that
Yeah.
in every kind of situation. We pay you and I, bro, the lowest income bracket I think was already
Some
20%.
yeah,
Or was it
it's in, it's
12%?
not I don't yeah, it's 20 or it's not over 20, my bad.
Let's say it's 20%. And then for each transaction
Mm-hmm.
that you make is 10%. So all that money that you didn't
Mm-hmm.
pay in is still taxed
Yep.
10% at the store. So at the end of the day, what are you paying?
30%.
Almost 30%, right?
Yeah,
That's a big
man.
old chunk of your pie.
30%.
And people don't see it like that. They don't realize it like, oh yeah, I make this much or whatever and blah blah blah. It's like, well, now you know why your checks are so small because a lot of it's going
Mm-hmm.
in taxes here, here, and there, and blah blah blah. And then they see what they're left with and they try to work with it, but they don't understand that they have to break it down too. How the government breaks it
Mm-hmm.
down for you, you have to break it down for yourself, for your food, for your gas, for your fund money, for everything. People don't control that. They're just like, all right, this is my check, this is what I take care of, boom, bop. And then all that rest that they have left over should be going into either savings or something, some kind of, investment to
Yep.
themselves, and they'll go and
Man,
blow it
I'm a
because that's what
firm
they had left.
believer in
And
living below your means. That don't mean like you gotta
yes,
be act
sir.
like
Yup.
you broke or anything like that. But you can make a certain amount of money, but live like you don't make that type of money, and you will always be ahead. I promise you, because that's me. Like man, I don't go out and
Oh
buy
yeah.
like all this different stuff or try to keep up with like the trends or nothing like that. But I promise you, like I don't just make like a super shit ton of money either. But I can stay up on yeah, and like
You're able to save more,
exactly, and I
yeah,
don't have to
because you know
worry
how to
about like
control
my
it.
bills and stuff like that because I have enough cushion that I know like even if I didn't have my job, Lord forbid that I'll get fired or anything like that. But if I didn't, like I would be okay for a little minute because I have this money because I saved it up because I live below my means.
Heck yeah, bro.
Oh
Shit, bro.
yeah, for
It's
sure,
definitely
bro.
nice catching up with you. Nice talking to you. Nice.
Yeah.
I think we need to link
Oh
again, bro. I'm
yeah.
gonna get your number or something here soon, so we can just
Yes,
kind of
sir, for
catch up
sure.
every so often. And that way, if you have anything I can input, some of my work in, I got you, bro. And if there's something I feel like you could help me
Yeah,
with, I'm
same
gonna
way.
always reach out, bro. But well, shit. Uh,
Uh,
I hope you have a good night, bro. Nice talking to you. Nice spending time with me.
yeah.
It was like what, an hour and a half or more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
I
it
just
was a
catching up
good
with you
time, bro.
too,
Nice
bro. Like I
catching up.
said, just the line of communication always open, man. Just hit me up whenever.
All right, bet. And is there anything else you want to say to these people before they're out of here?
Man, y'all just first off be safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, man. If you don't believe in God, man, just believe in being a good person, and I feel like your life will be just so much better if you just believe in being a good person, man. That's about it.
Facts.
Yeah,
Positive
man.
energy brings positive energy. I feel like our lives are in a way an hourglass. What you give is what you get. So yeah,
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, for
nice
sure.
nice said, bro. I appreciate it. So with all that being said, if you guys want to be a guest on my show, I'll go to ZtikMan.com. You can fill out a form there to actually book the session with me, or you can hit me up. If you know Torian, you can hit him
For
up
sure.
and he'll get you in contact with me. However it is.
All right,
But
man.
yeah.
Take
All
it
right, bro.
easy.
Peace.